Yeah, I like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who's been riding with me so far. It's been a long journey.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Scotty here. We got another episode of Scotty Talks Philly Sports. I hope you guys are excited. We're headed into Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. And as much as I'm ready to, dig up in their ass and whoop that Dallas ass, I did have a chance to go ahead and interview an actual Cowboys fan and, podcast host. So I'm actually going to have my buddy Aaron featured on this episode. You can find him on Twitter at AaronB901. Go ahead and throw him a follow. He's a good quality guy. He's a big Texas guy, of course. I know a lot of my people here are Philly fans, but if you're more into like a nationwide scale type of thing, he does have his own podcast there. Definitely go give him a follow on Twitter. He's just getting into stuff just like me, and I love to support people out here grinding just like I am. So definitely check him out. Enjoy this episode. We don't always get perspectives from, the outside of Philly perspective. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. It's kind of a new thing that I'm going to try to introduce on my show where I get, outsiders from Philly onto this Philly podcast. Give us a different perspective. Tell us how we look to the rest of the world. Because I know we get so caught up in this Philadelphia, thinking we're the best, thinking we are all that matters. And, you get lost in the train of thought sometimes. So I wanted to get an outside perspective on here to, give us a different taste. So enjoy this episode. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm also going to put a link to Aaron's podcast in the comments here. Be sure to go give him a subscription. Give him a nice review. Show support to a fellow podcaster out here just grinding just like me. Definitely remember to like and subscribe my podcast, Scotty Talks Philly Sports. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, the whole 9 yards. It's on every main streaming site as well as YouTube. And just be sure to like and subscribe, show support, and keep this thing rolling. We're just trying to get bigger, get more views, get more listeners, and get more people involved. Thanks, guys. You can also find me on Twitter at Scotty Drown. You can find the sports page at ST Philly Sports 1. Let's go. Dallas Philly week. We fucking hate Dallas. Let's go. But I'm bringing a fan on the show. Enjoy, guys. Go Birds. All right. I want to welcome a very special guest. My man Aaron from Twitter. I met him on Twitter. I was looking for a Cowboys podcast host, Cowboys fan, to come on and join me on the show. You flaunting the Cowboys gear over there, but man, I do appreciate you coming on the show, Aaron. And everybody, he's about to plug himself in. Make sure to go give him a follow. He's always putting out some good content. He touches on a nationwide scale. And it's good stuff, man. I'm glad to have met you, and I'm happy you decided to join a Philly podcast. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, guys, man. So my Twitter handle is AaronB901. I didn't figure it out. It was just a random one, so I got it written down, so I'll be like, But you can check me out on the SLA and Chill podcast, 1/3 of SLA and Chill, so sports, life, and art. So you can check us out on Spotify, Google, Anchor, of course, and many more and stuff like that. And I follow also on Instagram at SLA_and_chill. And the ones I work with is Logan Neach and Sam Archer. And we got a little network of people. Shout out to Kendrick Sports, Dre Day, Sportsway with Dre Day. I don't want to miss you. I'm sorry I don't remember everybody. I should roll down, but it's all good. Forgive me.
Bro, I do it all the time, man. You get connected with so many people. You got to shout out everybody. You got to spread the love, of course. But yeah, man, I definitely feel you on the Twitter handle. But I'm glad you came on the show, man. I'll definitely plug in the link to your podcast down below. So everybody that's listening, go ahead and click on that, give him a subscribe, a nice review. I know he's a Cowboys fan, but we got to spread the love.
Yeah,
we got to spread the love.
Sorry, y'all.
I got you. So yeah, let's dive in, man. We'll talk some Cowboys. That's what I was kind of bringing you on for, just to get a different perspective. I'm sitting here as a hopeless Eagles fan all the time, so I'm bringing the same perspective all the time, from an Eagles fan. So I kind of wanted to try something different, bring a Cowboys fan onto the show and let them, express yourself and give us some insight how you're feeling going into the game. So we can go ahead and get started right now, man. Obviously, you guys have had a bunch of injuries. Dak being the biggest name, which, is as much as I hate Dallas, Dak is such a good dude that I couldn't slander him. I'm not going that route of slandering that guy. He's a really good guy. And I swear if he wasn't on the Cowboys, man, I would root for him. I swear. He's that type of dude. But, yeah, so how are you feeling? I know your offensive line's beat up. The defense is beat up. How are you feeling about the injuries and just how this season's going so far, man?
Man, from the jump when we lost Gerald McCoy on the first practice,
right?
I'm like, something's going on. I don't know what it is. It's like every week we lose a player, and it's like a key part of our team. The Great Wall of Cowboy offensive line is getting old, and they're hurt. I think, to be honest, Tyron Smith should just call it a career. He's been a great left tackle for us, but
yeah,
if he's getting knee surgery, I'm like, yeah, you got plenty of life to live. So.
Yeah, and he's a Hall of Fame tackle. You know what I mean? For him to go out there and risk, the rest of his life is just kind of not worth it. That's kind of where I'm at with like Jason Peters. His isn't a neck injury, but still, he's like 38. He's still coming back. He leaves every game early. So yeah. I feel you there though. But as far as like how the season's gone, has anything surprised you other than, obviously the injuries that just seem to not be ending? Is there anything that surprised you about this team? Because I know on paper you guys coming into the season were stacked. You know what I mean? Yeah. And some people would say the same, but I mean, as far as your offensive weapons, I mean, those weapons mixed with Dak, I mean, it was loaded, and you look where you're at now. Any surprises that just stood out to you, maybe even before the injuries took place?
Just overall, I don't know. We looked at when Mike Nolan came in, I thought it was going to be a change, but if you look at his past, it's always been mediocre or poor performance on the defensive side. We should have did more evaluation who we should have picked as coach, not pick somebody you've been knowing for years as that's my best friend. I got to bring him along.
Right. Yeah, and I think
that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you good. You good. Just brought in somebody that's qualified to do the job, or a young mind, or we could have kept Mike Eberflus, and you've seen what he's doing with the Colts.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think that's probably what I would go. I mean, I haven't watched a ton of the Cowboys. I obviously watch it anytime they're playing against like an NFC East opponent. But just, they're giving up a record amount of points per game. I mean, I know our defense isn't that good. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, these guys, it's close to 40 points a game. It feels like, every week you're coming out of that week. And, I mean, I'm just thinking about those first 3 games, which I think he played like the Rams, the Falcons, and you beat the Falcons, but it was still – they scored like 40 points, I think. I think that's definitely the most surprising because, coming into the season, even on defense, like you said, you had Gerald McCoy, you brought in Dontari Poe, you brought in Everson Griffin, which we saw you guys, you released Poe, you traded Griffin, you released Worley. But coming into the season, you had like stacked linebackers. You got Leighton Vander Esch, you got Jalen Smith, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got those other guys that I mentioned. So obviously Byron Jones, I think that was something that was slept on in the offseason. Losing him, he was your strap up. He played a little bit of safety and corner, which I know we were highly interested in him, and I wouldn't have been mad either. But he got paid by Miami. Right.
I'm like, dang, y'all got slayed though, but.
Yeah, it's still though, Byron Jones is a little bit younger as well. So yeah, that was just very surprising by me, to see that defense come out and basically, just, be the worst defense in the NFL. I mean, I feel like, on paper, if you look at the numbers, it is the worst, historically, one of the worst defenses ever. But, as far as going forward, like, what are your hopes for the Cowboys? How do you feel going forward? Do you think you still can win the NFC East? I know you got Ben Dinucci in there at this point this weekend. You should get Andy Dalton back, after this week, which would give you a better chance. But how are you feeling?
Man, my biggest thing is they want to even have a chance against y'all. We do not need to start Terrence Steele at right tackle because y'all got Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. They're going to be coming at us. And these young guys that end up putting Ben Dinucci somewhere. They're gonna have them African funeral people hold them up because that's how bad.
Yeah. And that's the craziest thing about this matchup with Dallas, man, is in the previous seasons, you can count on that offensive line. At least if you have that offensive line and Zeke, there's a chance, you know what I mean? Zeke usually kills us on the ground. So it is just kind of weird because we basically the last, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 years have controlled the NFC East between the two teams. And it looks like we're both, kind of in this stage. I mean, I think you guys, even for the future, are a little bit better off than what we are. With the talent that you have there, getting CeeDee Lamb in there. You got guys in spots where, the important spots of the team. You are going through, like, the transition with the offensive line. But ultimately this season, even if you don't win the NFC East, these guys are getting experience. So if one of them, 2 or 3 of the offensive linemen that are backups, maybe some of them can pan out and then you maybe have, like, a valuable piece going forward there. So, like, with that being said, would you prefer, like, this season? And I know it's hard to, like, admit because I was on the fence earlier this season, about the NFC East. I'm like, man, do I even want to win the NFC East? Like, or would I rather just the Eagles, pack it up and just tank the rest of the season, get the best draft pick available, and just move forward? Because, the last couple of seasons we've been just crawling into the playoffs. If we even make the playoffs. So how do you feel? Like, what do you want the Cowboys to do going forward?
I know it's hard for, I think, all of us to say that we don't want to tank the season, but you don't want that playoff berth and then end up be one and done, and then you're, like, in the mid, close to 20s in the draft, and you're like, our record, we had a losing record, but we're in the playoffs, like.
Right.
I don't care about the draft, but that is how it rolls. But
right.
I would just like my team just to be in that second or third range because we definitely need the draft picks. So I think the biggest thing is if we don't, I think he should be done to start, and I think we should switch Zach Martin to the right tackle.
Just to protect that outside, yeah.
Yeah, because you got McGovern, he's showing things, and Biotis from Wisconsin is doing a good job in the run. And then, to be honest, I like Connor Williams at the left tackle instead. I think he'd be better out there. He's too finesse for a guard, in my opinion, and I think maybe we should look at a guard in, like, the second or third round.
Yeah, no, and that sounds like a good idea. And I think it's interesting with the Cowboys, I hate to say it, but I feel like you guys have more reason to maybe not tank, but, kind of just be like, well, if we lose, we lose. You know what I mean? And I think you guys have more of a reason to just because you guys do have the young star talent. Like, you'll still have Zeke next year. You'll still have that trio at the wide receiver position. You'll get guys back from injury on the offensive line, but then all of a sudden – you wake up in the offseason and you have a top 5 draft pick. You know what I mean? So, I mean, top 5 draft picks are generally, generational type talent, regardless of the position. But, yeah, I think it would, honestly, and I'm not even joking, and I want the worst for the Cowboys, but I think it would end up, being more beneficial for you guys to just, kind of throw this season out with Dak out. You know what I mean? And I think I would be at the same place for the Eagles if Carson was to get injured. I think I would be done. I'm not I mean, Jalen Hurts, he has been exciting. I think he does have some talent there. But, as far as like leading us to the playoffs, when Carson couldn't even do it, I just don't see that. But, just when you lose your starting quarterback, it's so demoralizing. To see Dak, and this was a moment, and maybe I'll just kind of, it's a good time to ask you, like, kind of how you felt after that injury, because it was gruesome. I mean, that was just disgusting to look at. And then on top of it, you look at Dak's story, and all the stuff, all the trials and tribulations that he's been through. Losing his mom, lost his brother, and he's in a contract year, so he's trying to ball out, to earn the contract. He's on, got franchise tagged, and just to see him go out with a season-ending injury, and not only is it season-ending injury, but like such a gruesome and painful injury. And to just see him, kind of crying, leaving the field, and the distress in his face. And, all that was going through my head was like his future. And, you hope that it just doesn't affect his future that much. But kind of like work me through the process of how you were feeling like when you saw that day.
Man, the bad thing is I was at the game with my homie because it was his birthday. So we were at the game. And we got hungry, like, man, let's go get something to eat. And then we were like, oh, nice play. And then before we could even get back to our seats, his dad called, like, did you see what happened to Dak? We were like, what happened to Dak? He said, look at the screen. And next thing we know, you see, it's bad when you see our physician come in with the cowboy hat. That's when you know the injury is serious.
Right. Oh, man. That's crazy you were actually at the game, man. I feel like that would make it hurt even more for real. Because then you got to, like, sit there in public, like, when you're already feeling, like, down. Because, I mean, I just remember when Carson went down against the Rams with that torn ACL in 2017. And, I hate to say it, I could have cried. Like, we were sitting there, like, 10-2. You know what I mean? And in reality, you guys were in position. I know everybody probably looks at the Eagles now. They think that the Eagles should win it. I'm on the fence where I think Washington with that defensive line, they have a chance. I mean, especially with our offensive line as bad as we're dealing with injuries too. So I think Washington does have a chance at the division. But, before the Dak injury, it was obviously everybody was saying it's between the Cowboys and the Eagles. The Cowboys had the bad defense. The Eagles had the bad offense and the mediocre defense. But, just losing that opportunity to see Dak ball out, he probably had the best surrounding, skill set players around him of his whole career. And just to see him go down, it's just demoralizing. But it kind of moves me to the next, segment of, what do you think is the plan as far as Dak, going forward? Do you think they bring Dak back on a franchise? Do they give him the long-term deal? How would you go about it, I guess I should say?
If I go about it, I would definitely evaluate how Dak doing and everything, but he definitely deserved the contract. I know they waited too long. Now that everybody will say, oh, he's getting paid too much, but that's just a quarterback market now.
Yeah, exactly.
Around that wins time, and when y'all signed him, and then you wouldn't have to be paying so much. Now you're going to be looking almost down there in the $40 million a year. Yeah. But I know what Jerry Jones and them are going to do because they did the D-Law. They're going to do almost franchise tag, which is taking more money out of the salary cap because you're going to take out another $30 or something million.
Right.
And you could have been using on getting quality players in or something like that, but it's just the way it goes. But I would give him the contract; he deserved it. But
so you think Jerry's going to tag him again?
Oh yeah, Jerry's going to tag him again.
Make him. He's got to play through and play a full season, and then I'll pay you, type of thing.
Yeah, that's him.
And that's just not fair, man. I hate that, but it is a business at the end of the day. As far as, moving forward, say, you get to the draft, you guys, you lose out this season, get a top 5 pick. How would you feel? And I know you may have seen it on Twitter, maybe not. I proposed like a trade. So if you guys traded Dak, maybe a sign and trade or franchise tag him and trade him, with the top 5 pick to maybe like the Jets, and you can draft Trevor Lawrence. Would you be interested in that as a Cowboys fan?
I would be interested in it, but it just like I think Trevor Lawrence is a talented quarterback. It just how's our line looking? Because
right.
he's got to have a whole line. You could have the most talented quarterback, but you got to have somebody blocking for him. Because he's gonna look like how it looks now, he's gonna look like a bust. He's looking like a bunch of clowns, like we already do. So,
right.
I gotta know what the whole line's gonna look like before I say, "Oh, we'll trade Dak." And
that's very fair. Yeah, that's very fair, man. And you look at it like you can just keep Dak, sign him, or franchise him, and then you could draft even an offensive lineman in that first, that top 5 pick. Which wouldn't be a bad idea. Maybe you go defense, who knows? But so I guess we'll get on the topic of like the actual game this Sunday. I kind of just wanted to get some background info from you just to, see where your head's at as a Cowboys fans, because, not all Eagles fans agree. Not all Cowboys fans are on the same page. So about this Sunday, how are you feeling just about Ben Dinucci? I don't know shit about him, honestly. I heard he's like a mobile quarterback. He's willing to, put his body on the line, that type of guy. He's kind of I have a buddy here in Philadelphia, David Esser. His sister went to college with Ben Dinucci at James Madison. And basically the scoop that we got on him was that, he's a guy that's going to basically try hard as shit and, he's going to do whatever he can to win. Do you have any like background on him? How do you feel, confidence wise? I know it's a 3rd string quarterback. How are you feeling about him?
I had to do research on him, look at games when he played. There's very few games where they just bunched Pitt when he played at Pitt and then when he played at James Madison, so you had to get an idea. He's a mobile quarterback, of course. It's just like he wasn't like the deep thrower, but he would do it if he had to. Like he was saying, he's going to play his heart out.
Right.
But you can see when he got in the game against the Redskins front 7, he was like, oh. He was like, he knew he didn't have in his mind, I'm going to be playing. He was like, man, I'll just be chilling for a few years. Then, maybe I get a chance to be playing a game or 2.
Right. And then he's just thrown out there against one of the best defensive lines in the league.
Yes, and they're a young defensive line. That's a scary part about the football team.
Yeah, and then also on top of that, just about the Washington football team, I mean, even to have Ron Rivera on top of that young defensive line is like scary for the upcoming years. I mean, I know he just got I think did he get cured of the cancer? He did his last treatment. Am I right on that?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, so I mean, future wise, I mean, they look pretty good if they can get like a half decent quarterback in there. But yeah, I mean, the thing about him being a mobile quarterback, I guess it kind of worries me after last week when we let Daniel Jones outrun our defense for 80 yards. And then, the week before that, we gave up 100 rushing yards to Lamar Jackson. And, of course, I mean, he's a different level. But kind of worries me, just a quarterback with mobility, getting outside of our defensive line. Obviously, our defensive line is pretty good. It's not as good as Washington's, I wouldn't say. How are you feeling about, just that makeshift offensive line versus the defensive line? Like, how do you feel about that Eagles defense coming into the game?
Man, I'm worried, to be honest with you. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion. It's like, hopefully they hold up because it can't all be on Zeke. The offensive line's got to make those holes for him and stuff like that. Yeah. And they can't just go in panic mode early in the game because that's when you get turnovers. Y'all going to look like the top defense. That's how we've been making other teams look, honestly, for the past just making adjustments when they need to be done and not going to full out panic mode early in the game. That's what they just need to play smart. But you have the talented 4 receivers. Dallas Wilson can play.
Yeah. Because you guys got Albert Wilson, right? That's Wilson, right?
Cedric Wilson.
Oh, okay. Cedric Wilson. Okay, I must not know anything about him.
He's an underrated guy.
Okay, nice though. So you guys got a stack there at the wide receiver position. Obviously, I knew about the top three, but no, I didn't know anything about Cedric Wilson. Yeah, so I mean, coming into the game, I'll just kind of tell you how I'm feeling. Obviously, I don't want to take it for granted. Obviously, I feel like the Eagles should win. I think just having Wentz and you guys having Ben Dinucci, I think our offensive lines, yours is probably a little bit worse. We do have some of our guys in there, Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson might play. We're getting JP back. So I guess what worries me about this is, one, just the Eagles falling asleep because they just generally play. They're so inconsistent. They play down to their competition. They play up to their competition. It doesn't matter the situation. But I'm kind of worried, I guess, not about our defense, but just the situations that our offense could put our defense in. Now, it's not a secret. Carson Wentz, he's thrown 10 interceptions this year. A couple fumbles out there. He definitely – I'm not sure if he still leads the league in turnovers, but he's definitely up there in the top, 5 or so quarterbacks in turnovers. So I guess what worries me is just the Eagles falling asleep and, Carson maybe throws a few errant balls and, gets picked off. All of a sudden, Dallas's defense got a bunch of young guys in there. They're getting, confidence. Putting our defense in bad situations where, a guy like Ben Dinucci could just make something crazy happen. And I guess what I thought about was the game a few years ago when we were down in Dallas and we come out, DeMarcus Lawrence sacks Carson Wentz, strip sack on the first, drive. You guys come down, you score 7 immediately. We come back out on the second drive, hit Dallas Goedert over the middle, fumble. You guys score again. We're down 14-0. And now our backs are against the wall. You know what I mean? If we're having to come out, to a deficit, then it's going to be obvious on passing downs, which then allows, your defensive line to pin their ears back and just pressure. So I guess that's what I'm worried about, just falling asleep on offense, as we do that a lot. I mean, between Doug and his play calling and Carson Wentz turning the ball over. So, just I guess we'll finish up here, man, and it's definitely been a pleasure. Let's get your predictions for the game this Sunday. I just want to know where you're at. What are you thinking score-wise? Kind of the keys to the game for the Cowboys and just how you think it might play out.
Man, my prediction for who's going to win, I need to take this drink. I'm just oh, man. But I feel like in this game that my team is going to lose. It's just like we got so much stuff we got to figure out. And yes, they finally figure out we need to put the young guys in the game. And we've been, after getting rid of Poe and got rid of Worley.
Yeah.
It's just, you getting guys coming back that hasn't been playing at all. I think we're getting a Woozier back. We got to see how he works out.
Yeah.
That'll definitely help. Diggs is a rookie. He's good. He's going to be a good corner, of course, but he's going to make his rookie mistakes. And because I already talked about on the offense already, but on the defense, it's just tracking the ball and going full speed. I know they complained about how complicated defense, but, playing football, if it's back in high school or college, they always say, go full speed if you don't know what's going on. Don't be like,
yeah.
That's when the offensive lineman lay you out from you.
Yeah, when you start second guessing shit. Yeah. So, even to that point, when you're out there looking lost, which I've seen that a lot with Nate Jerry. I'm hoping that he doesn't get a lot of playing time out there for us. But, you get caught out there with your head looking. That's how big plays happen, which we are getting Jalen Reagor back, so that's kind of exciting on our end there. So we'll get to see him with Fulgham. But I guess let me get your perspective on the Eagles, because I kind of just want to see like an outside perspective. You watch the NFC East, these teams. How do you feel about the rest of the NFC East and then specifically just the Eagles?
Okay, I could break down then we'll get to the last, but we'll get to the Eagles last. But when it comes to the Giants, I know they're a super young team, but I feel like in a couple of years you'll see that team maybe shocking the NFC East as for the football team, they got to figure out who they're going to have a quarterback. They got 3 guys. I'm glad to see Alex Smith is back, but he's not going to be the guy.
Right.
They don't trust Haskins. Kyle Allen is not that good, so they got to figure out who the quarterback is. That defense is looking good over there.
Yeah.
As for y'all always giving us hell. Carson Wentz is a hell of a quarterback. I'll give him that. If he stays healthy, he gives us hell. But the biggest part, he likes to play hero ball and put it all on him the whole time.
Yeah.
And I noticed this about him when he receivers, like he has like a flavor of the month for like 2 weeks. Like right now it's Fogle. Last year was Ward. And then y'all getting Rager. He might be the flavor of the month for y'all's team. But never knows.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, man. He gets in like these rhythms with like just one player, and it used to be just Ertz. And then before that, I think it was like Jordan Matthews and, people like that. But that's interesting. So you got some insight on the Birds, man. I see you. But I do appreciate the respect to Wentz. You don't see it around the league, man. I be feeling like him and Dak are like, 2 of the most hated quarterbacks in the NFL. And it's just kind of weird to me because they're both like really good dudes. So that's what kind of throws me off with the hate. Is that these guys aren't, assholes. They're pretty good, well-rounded, good moral compass type of guys.
Yeah, those humble dudes.
Yeah, so it just doesn't make sense to me why they get so much hate around the league. Especially with Dak. I mean, this is his first injury. Last year had the crazy numbers. I know people talk about garbage time, but numbers are numbers. And when you're completing passes, you're completing passes. It doesn't change. So I definitely got a lot of respect for Dak. I hope to see him come back healthy, man. But I'm hoping this Sunday, hopefully the Birds win. Hopefully they do what they're supposed to. I had my prediction out there. It was I had them at 33-10. Might be. I'm totally being overconfident. I know that it probably won't end up like that. I think we'll probably let you guys stick around in the first half and maybe take control in the second half. In all reality, hopefully Wentz locks in the second half like he usually does. But overall, I'm just hoping for no more injuries on either team, man. I just let them finish the season out in one piece.
We're gonna be picking up street free agents for the rest of the season. We at it right now. But since you already gave your score, I know you already asked the question. I don't want to forget about it. I got y'all winning 23-17.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair one too, man. I guess I'm more confident. I don't think you guys' offense is gonna do much. But, Zeke could always break one. You never know. Ben Dinucci could do – who knows what Ben Dinucci can do? I mean, what if he comes out and, plays some good ball? We just never know. And with the Eagles, I try not to be too confident. But, Aaron, man, it was a pleasure having you on the show. I'm so glad you were comfortable joining me and hopping on my podcast. If you ever need anything from me, hit me up. I'm always here. I'll support you. I'll help you out as well, man. I know you're a Cowboys fan, but you're still a brother in the podcast biz, so I will definitely show some love. If you just want to go ahead and plug yourself in one more time for everybody listening, I'll definitely put the link to the podcast down below, and as well as your Twitter handle. But if you just want to plug it in one more time, man.
I appreciate it for having me on, Scotty. So my Twitter handle is AaronB901, and y'all can follow us at SLA and Chill Podcast. You can check us out on Anchor, Spotify, and all that good stuff. And I just appreciate you having me on. Hopefully we can do some more collabs and stuff for sure. We're also in the NFC East, brothers, and we're going through some stuff right now that we weren't expecting.
Yeah, to say the least, brother. And anytime you need a guest on your show, just hit me up. But I'll definitely have you back on the show. Maybe we can even do like a recap or something. We'll definitely link up again. But man, it was a pleasure having you on. And everybody, make sure to go follow Aaron on Twitter. Check out their Instagram page for the podcast. And once again, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man.
All right, that's it for another episode of Scotty Talks. Thank you, Philadelphia. Say thank you to Aaron for being brave enough to come on the show.
How about them Cowboys?
Hey, but go Birds, man. Go Birds.